So now we should be able to see what's going on here. So I've got this slide up, I've got a ProPresenter question slide, and then I've got a blank one here that has absolutely nothing on it. And as soon as it switches to it, it just goes black. Now, what happens if I go back over here to my looks? You'll notice, presented by Church Tech U, it's the ProPresenter show. On today's show, how to change one specific slide at a specific time during the midst of an announcement slide loop. Hi, and welcome again to the ProPresenter show. This is the show where I teach all about ProPresenter. My name's Paul Allen Clifford. And before we get started, if you've ever been in a situation where you'd like to change one and only one slide, go ahead, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. So this actually just happened to me this past weekend as I'm recording this. I had a situation where I had a booth, and of course I was using ProPresenter. Why would I not? And I had different slides that were going up. Hey, this is my business card. This is an opportunity for you to join Church Tech U, etc., etc., etc. But I was teaching 3 classes. And a couple of them were kind of back to back. So, not kind of, like they were back to back. So, my thought was, well, what if I could change the message that showed up in my booth automatically, whether I was there or not? So, this is what I came up with. Let's head over to my computer and let me show you exactly what I mean. So, here, if we go to this, and this is going to affect this, but that's okay. So let's go to that particular slideshow, which this was the conference I went to. And if I click on this, for some reason it's the thumbnails for these have disappeared. So let me maybe do that. Doesn't matter all that much. But you'll notice that I've got an image here and an image right here, and then an image here and there, so that's good. But then when we go to here, it goes blank. So what's going on there? Well, first off, this is on the announcement layer, and I have gone through and changed the looks. So let's just make sure that this is the way I expect it to be. Yeah, so actually let me just do this one right here. So we've got this right here, this look. I'm going to make this one live. Okay, so now we should be able to see what's going on here. So I've got this slide up, I've got a ProPresenter question slide, and then I've got a blank one here that has absolutely nothing on it. And as soon as it switches to it, it just goes black. Now, what happens if I go back over here to my looks? You'll notice that I also have the slides layer. So because the announcement layer here is above the slides layer here, if I were to select something on the slides layer, it will bleed through when we get to this slide. So that's actually what I've done right here. So let me click on this. And right now we don't see it, but, okay, not now, but the next one we should see it. And there it is. So that's the first of these slides. This is, hey, my class is going to start in this amount of time and all. So the next thing I wanted to say was once the class actually started, hey, it's not too late. So I click here and that shows this slide. Come join my class. It's not too late. It already started because I had the countdown counting down to 0 here. And then at the time that the timer runs out, it starts counting up. And so when it starts counting up, it says basically the class has only been going for this amount of time. So that's what this does right there. Next class, So as this class ends, I wanted this one to show up, which is and we'll see it here in just a second. Do you like these videos, but you'd really like to learn from me in person? Well, I've got some great news for you. I am traveling around the country and maybe even around the world training churches on how to use ProPresenter. So I've got either a 1 or 1.5 day class that you can attend. For more details, head on over to TDM.fyi/events24, the top one right here, and register for the event nearest you. If there is no event that's near you, no problem. You can request one. So head on over to tdm.fyi/class request. That's this one down here. And you can say, hey, I'm interested in attending a class, or even I'm interested in hosting a class. Up to you which you prefer. In the last one, that is just information. It's not obligation, so don't hesitate to put your information in there, and I'll let you know when there's a class in your area, or we'll talk about what it takes to host a class. It's probably a lot less than you imagine that it is. So head over there, and I look forward to meeting you in person. This class is starting in this amount of time, and then same thing here. Once it's started, hey, it's not too late, you can, and so on. So I had all those, but as it's showing right now, I would have to click on those. Well, in the case of one, I was upstairs. I could have probably used a remote. But in the case of the other two classes, I was in a totally different building, maybe 3 or 4 buildings over. So the remote wouldn't have worked. So how did I solve this problem? Well, what I did was I used calendar. So if we go up here to view and then calendar, what I have set is I've got a calendar notification that I had set for that day, and I told it to start at a certain time, and what that's going to do is it's down here in the action. I go down to playlist, and you'll notice that each of these slides is in its own playlist, and the reason that I did that is because if I go down here, I can select the presentation, but I can't select a slide within the presentation. So I just made individual presentations with just one slide in them. So now when I click on test, we'll wait until this comes back up. You can look over here, see there, and now I'm going to click on it and it changed. So I'm just testing what it would look like. So I basically created calendar notifications that this one, I just started that up manually, and then this one was right as the first class started. And then as this class ended, then this one started, and I had like an hour and a half because there was a lunch break. So this one started right here with the calendar notification, and you'll see that that changes to up here in, and then once the class started, then it changes over here to this message which says, don't worry, I won't make fun of you for being late, even if you are this late, ha ha ha. Then when this class ended, we switched over to this one, which was come join my last class, which is starting in, because there were 10 or 15 minutes in between these classes. And then once that started, it switched over to this one, which says you're only this late, which this countdown starts running up. So there we go. Now, when the third class ended, I had one final one that says, well, darn, you missed out. No big deal. my last class ended just this amount of time ago, so hang around and you can ask me your questions then. So that's what that did. So we have these slides, which are all in their own presentation so that I could trigger each of them individually with the calendar. There are other ways to do it, but I think this was going to be the simplest and most reliable way. So I could trigger each of these with the calendar, and they would only show up when we got to the blank space in the loop after the got questions slide here, right about here. So that's how I did that. So that is how I was able to automatically trigger one slide in the middle of my announcement loop to change. So the rest of it stayed the same, just this one changed. And it also re-triggered some different timers and stuff, and we'll talk about that in another tutorial. But that's something just really cool that you can do with ProPresenter 7. Well, and newer. If you like this content, you would probably like my ProPresenter 7 or ProPresenter in general Quick Start course. So head on over to TDM.fyi/pro, the number 7 and quick, or just leave out the 7 and pro quick. Give me your name and email address and I'll make a login for you for free. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford from TrinityDigitalMedia.com and ChurchTechU.com, reminding you to go out and change eternity.